Hello everyone. Over the last 24 hours we've seen terrible floods hit counties Kerry and Cork and a number of other counties in the southwestern part of Ireland. We've seen towns like Bantry suffer from terrible floods, which has damaged and devastated businesses, homes in that community as well. And also what's been important is that the government's response has been typical. Peter Burke, the Minister for Enterprise, has said there will be an emergency business flooding scheme in place after Bantry experienced over 50 millimetres of rain in 12 hours. Now this comes on the back of over a couple of hundred years of flooding in Bantry. It's been ramped up over the last few years because of the overdevelopment in that region as well, because of all the housing developments that have gone up. The population of Bantry has increased from 2,600 estimated to go up to over 4,200 I think in the next couple of years as well, which is a huge increase in population in a short period of time. And also in terms of the housing developments that have gone up as well, because they were promised back in 2020 a flood alleviation plan, but of course that, like many of those, many more are in the planning phase or in the phase that they won't be discussed. But of course the Irish political establishment have plenty of money to spend on a myriad of other issues which don't impact or better the lives of ordinary people, such as the modular homes for Ukrainians, well over €450,000, the 5 million a day being spent in the immigration industry. It's going to profit the big bosses and the commercial property owners, 336,000 on the bike sheds, the 1.4 million on the Garda hut, and the €9 million on the magnetic phone cases. And not to mention the millions and millions of more money that's been transferred into private hands every single day. So what's generally happening is Bantry, there was no sandbags provided in advance of this. Again, it was left to the retained fire service to provide the support for the community, and fair play to the retained fire service all over Ireland, in particular what their members supported the community over the last 24 hours in Cork. And also, as I said, the national drainage planes have been removed as homes and houses have been built. And this is important because in terms of the culverts in that region as well, and issues as well, providing proper flood alleviation schemes. Now I'm on the River Poddle here in Dublin today, and this is just a case in point about the overdevelopment in this area. As you can see, this is the Stone Boat, and this is the historic part of Dublin in Kimmage. And as you can see, a lot of houses and apartments, and I'll take you on a walk through here as well. This goes back, the culvert here goes back nearly 800 years, where this part of the river was converted up, which is actually dry now completely, up to St. Thomas's Abbey, which is up around the Thomas Street, up that region of Dublin. And of course the puddle down there that flows all the way in towards Dublin City was the main water supply of Dublin City for well over 500 years. Clean, drinkable water. But of course, this river that rises up in Cookstown, quite close to the college in Tala, and comes all the way down through Temple Oak in towards Kimmage, then down towards Dublin City, and comes into the River Liffey at Wellington Quay. Now there has been issues here for flooding, most notably over 12 years ago there was flooding, and tragically a woman lost her life down near enough to the banks of the Grand Canal because of the flooding that took place. But as you can see, the huge amount of overdevelopment has taken place as well, which has destroyed a famous river, historic river in Dublin. And now there's plans, and it started a number of months ago, to bring forward a flood alleviation scheme. Now, just to explain what this is about, the plans of this have been very much anti-democratic from the start. People have been involved in any of this consultation. And it is being fronted by South Dublin County Council, Dublin City Council, and the Office of Public Works at a cost of €19 million currently. Now this just started a few months ago, and they're working up in Tymon Park at deepening the ponds up there. And part of the plans are also to remove a lot of trees along the route, a 6-kilometre stretch down towards Dublin City. And as you can see, there are very much chestnut trees, ash trees, and many trees are being taken away as part of this plans to work on the flood alleviation. But as you can see, the amount of homes that were built here in the 90s as well, that had a huge impact on this, and issues around pollution as well are very important as well. But as we know, you get rid of the natural drainage, floodplains, the natural soil, and you create more and more issues with the overdevelopment. And of course they won't talk about this, and they won't talk about drains being cleared. People are going to jump up and down and say every kind of ruse or different approach and say it's down to climate change and all this sort of stuff. But again, what's very important around this is the fact that it's lack of services as well, because drains are never cleared. There's issues with culverts, for instance, down in Bantry, and as you can see, drains aren't cleared in a lot of areas around here in particular, where you can see a lot of flooding that takes place. But also, it's, as I said, it has a huge impact on the natural environment and natural wildlife in this area as well. Because if you walk down into this pond, you can have a look. And that was home for many years to ducks, a lot of wildlife, egrets, herons you would see quite regularly. And you can see just the condition it's in today. Lifeless. And rubbish strewn all around it. Absolutely disgraceful. We can see a couple of ducks there. One of Dublin's most historic rivers. This is the way it's been treated. See rubbish being thrown in. And there's been a lot of issues of pollution here over the last few years. And as I said, the issues of overdevelopment are significant issues here. Because, just follow me down. It's very important because this river supplied so much industry in the area as well. Jobs and employment. There were a lot of mills that supplied much needed industries. Linen mills, paper mills, sawmills, breweries that were powered by the River Poddle and provided much needs for lack of employment as well, as I said, and local industries in this area, which are very historical importance. Greenmount Mill was very important as well. And just up above, just so you can see Mount Argus Church behind me, famous church in Dublin, synonymous with St. Charles. This beautiful church. And just as I come, I'll just show you something else as well over here. Margaret Pearse, just off point for a minute, but it's important. Mother of Patrick Pearse. Might do another video on this at some point. She used to come down and pray quite regularly at this statue after her sons were executed. Statue there that she used to come down and pray at. Mother of Sorrows. That she prayed at. And her husband, James Pearce, also was a sculptor, and the altar in Mount Argus was, the pulpit in Mount Argus was courtesy of Pearce and Sons business, who left their mark on Dublin, and a lot of churches around Dublin also as well. But just to go back to the developments here, it's important because you can see the huge amount of developments. As I said, here these apartments were bought a number of years ago for €100 million by Patrizia, a German pension fund. Rents are well in excess of €2,000, €2,200 per month. Very unaffordable for people. And again, these companies are making huge profits from what's going on. But this is how developments have impacted wildlife, the environment, flooding, and all these issues as well. Overdevelopment. Down here is where they've sort of canalised the water and the puddle. As you can see, there has been a little bit of rain the last 24 hours in Dublin. Small amount, not the amount that was experienced obviously down in around Cork and Kerry, but the depth level there is relatively low, and this is part of the development process that took place for years and years in Dublin. In the 70s, puddle was allowed to dry out and had an impact on wildlife as well, but now in this day and age this still continues. So when they're talking about flood alleviation plans, you need to bring planning back to communities where people have a say in what goes on in their communities, and their proper community-led planning, rather than the completely developer-led planning everywhere in Dublin and around Ireland as well. I'm sure many people grease their palms the benefit in Bantry, all over Ireland, which is the same as here in Harold's Cross, from development. But of course, it's developers call the shots in Ireland, and that's down to political choices that benefit them and have an impact on affordability for people, have an impact, and they'll say they're providing homes, but at what cost? Unaffordable homes, absolute rip-off for more and more people that can't afford to live. We've a ticking time bomb in terms of older people that are going to end up in homelessness and tent encampments all around the city, and not to mention the whole importance of our environment around us, our living environment around us as well, in terms of the puddle, as you can see, where it was home to a lot of wildlife for years and years, and it's been destroyed through pollution, through overdevelopment as well. So these are real reasons behind what's going on.